Welcome back to the Michigan Sports Media Network. Really, it's another beautiful Tuesday, except that it's hot as balls. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I don't know how hot it is over at where you're at, James, but it's like 90 something degrees here, and I am just glad I don't have practice today. The kids do, so prayers up to them, but I am not out there. I am in here with you. So with that being said, we will start off today's show with some Detroit Lions football. And as most of us know, the Lions had a scrimmage today at practice, which, as a football coach, I love it. I absolutely love a practice scrimmage because you get to see what you got before you got to go see what you got before against a different team. Yeah, I lost you on that one, didn't I? But point being, you get to kind of, figure out, okay, this guy, we're playing full speed here. A lot of the time in practice, you're not going 100% full speed. So it's just really nice to kind of try with your plays and, see different players in different positions and guarding different guys than they normally do and all that kind of fun stuff. And of course, with the pads on, that's what makes the biggest difference here. They are hitting each other. You see defensive line versus offensive line. You see, running backs breaking tackles. You see stuff like that. So it's a great day, okay, to be a Detroit Lions fan for that reason. However, well, it's not a terrible day to be a Detroit Lions fan for injuries. We have had a few today, but nothing really too serious. Kirby's knee injury should not be too bad. He should be back. They said Saturday. So, that's just the end of the week. No big deal there. And obviously, he wasn't playing in the preseason game anyway, so it's not like it matters to us viewers in that way. Um, Terrion Arnold, he did injure his hamstring today, but that also does not sound too serious. So, kind of there's upside. It sucks that they got hurt at all, but it is what it is. This is football. And then Vaki and Rakestraw are both back at practice. With that being said, though, the scrimmage today apparently was a lot of fun to watch. Unfortunately, I could not be there, which that would have been prime. But unfortunately, I could not be there. So all of these notes and things are coming off of, the World Wide Web. So I may have missed some things, to be honest with you, because there is a lot. There was a lot to comb through, a lot of different notes, a lot of different takes. So bear with me here. This might take a second. So with that being said, obviously Aiden Hutchinson, he is a beast. However, it sounds like people are saying it doesn't look like he ever was injured. He looks better than he did last year, which is number one, insane. If so, I mean, if he really does look better, that's insane. I kind of question, like, is part of this, and I'm not saying Hutchinson isn't a beast. Is part of the reason that people think he looks so much better because we haven't seen him for 10 weeks. I mean, of football weeks, because we lost him week 7, I think it was. So,
4 or 5.
oh, 4 or 5, shit. See, I'm off on that one then. So, even worse than that, we lost him 4 or 5, like you said, week 4 or 5, that'd be what, 12 more weeks or
You
some
know what? It
something
was
along those
5 because
lines.
it was the week before the bye, so it was week
Okay.
5.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So basically, we haven't seen him play in, I mean,
October 13th.
yeah, almost a year now. If you think about it that way, it's been a while, folks. So with how dominant he looked, I wonder if he would have kept playing through the whole season and been as dominant, if people would be talking about it in the same light. However, I am just happy to hear that he is absolutely killing it. He had 4 sacks, I think, today, or 3 sacks today at the scrimmage against Panay Sewell. He had a lot of good reps as well. So, and we all knew that was going to happen. Iron sharpens iron. So, them going up against each other every single day in practice was already going to make them better. And now, they're both all pro players at their position. So, I will say it is amazing to hear that Hutch is doing as well as he is because of the obviously gruesome injury that he went through last season. And just as a Lions fan, it really just makes me feel hype for the year, man. Because it's like, do we have a defensive player of the year, comeback player of the year type season for Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, if he stays healthy and even plays up to par to what he played up to last year, let alone beats it, I don't see how not. I feel like he is obviously got to be up there for comeback player of the year, if not defensive player of the year. But with that being said, I will pass the mic to you. What are your thoughts on this whole? Oh, looks like we lost James for a second. Looks like he is loading back now. But point being, Aiden Hutchinson has been absolutely killing it, and I am interested to see how that goes. We will. He's loading back in, so we will keep it moving. It does, on top of Aiden Hutchinson, though, it does look like the defense as a whole just look great. Fast, physical. It sounds like Kevin, or excuse me, Shepard has them all, playing faster, more design blitzes, better design blitzes from what I've heard. It sounds like they're getting home a lot more often this year than they may have been last season, so that's a really good sign. It seems like he changed the defense a bit. Okay, and James is back. So, what are your thoughts on this whole Aiden Hutchinson, you know, uh, I don't know, getting back to where he was before, I guess?
I expected him to get back to where he was before, to be honest, but just because, and I wanted to do the research. Unfortunately, I haven't. But I know when he was at Michigan his junior year, he broke his leg as well. And I can't remember if it was the same leg or different leg. That's what I wanted to look into. But he broke his leg his junior year. People are like, oh no, is he going to just go into the draft? He came back for his senior year. Everyone knows from that point on he was, amazing, number 2 pick. Thanks again, Jacksonville. Whatever reason, but thanks. Um,
Yeah, seriously.
it's
That
so
was
almost
like
Mother's
that
Day.
was like
But
that was like uh literally gifting us our prodigal son. It's
yeah,
like, here you go.
yeah,
Here's
exactly. I'm like,
here's the baby in the manger. Like, oh, okay, sweet. It literally could not have gotten better
we
on
will.
that one.
Yeah, we will take that. Thank you. Okay. But so he looked great after that injury, and I remember after I think it was 2 or 3 weeks after he got hurt in Dallas, after there were scans and blah blah blah. They said his break was a clean break, and it was actually less severe in terms of how to correct it than the one he suffered at Michigan. So I figured if he can come back from a quote unquote worse broken leg, thankfully I've never broken my leg, so I don't know about the variations and degrees of that. But I expected him to come back fully. I just don't know how to word it. I think he might have come back. I expected him to come back a little rusty just because he missed so much time. So I
Hmm.
expected him to maybe not play in the preseason. If he does, maybe just a drive or two, but just get on-field reps against someone else, get his feet wet, just get back in the ebbs and flow of the game and whatnot. And I expected him to make a full recovery, but I did not really expect him to just hit camp like a bat out of hell and already be at this level that at least people are saying. Um, I saw today, like you mentioned, he had 4 sacks. I believe 2 were on Skipper and 2 were on Sewell. Um, which, sorry, Skip, I like Skipper, but I mean that's kind of an unfair
Yeah.
matchup right there. But and I remember in one of the other practices, he had and I don't know if it was the story of the day or whatever, but I saw a clip of him hitting a very nice inside spin move on Panay Sewell, and Sewell was left grasping at air. And I even made the joke. I won't name the beat writer, but I even made the joke that like, watch this guy say uh, that Hutch is still a step slow or whatever, but Panay took a step back because they were always posting negative things. And sure enough, today, because of the post of multiple people saying he got the better of Sewell on the team reps, I did not see that beat writer say it, but I've seen a couple fans be like, "Is something wrong with Panay?" Like the dude's back-to-back first team All Pro. He was a 2023 first team All Pro, 2024 first team All Pro. Instead of like someone being at fault, can we as a fan base just stop and think maybe we just have 2 elite players? And like you mentioned, iron sharpens iron, and I've seen a lot of clips of reps of JMO and Terrion Arnold going at it, and sometimes one wins, sometimes the other. But like I feel like as a fan base as a whole, we need to stop seeing like one highlight and being like, oh well, the guy who got beat sucks. Like, what if
Yeah.
sometimes the player win? Like,
I
if
feel
he
like
had
too, if we saw every single Panay Sewell block on Aiden Hutchinson that didn't go for a sack, then there's a lot more of those. You know what I mean? So it's like,
absolutely, and if we were to, let's say they show him, let's say they show the clips of like Panay stuffing him 5 times in a row, because even Aiden Hutchinson, as great as he is, his best game was 5 sacks, which I mean, don't get me wrong, he's as impressive as hell, but there was what I'm assuming 35, 40 passing attempts that game.
mhm.
So even on a phenomenal game, it's less than 20% of the time. So show clips of Panay winning 4 or 5 times in a row, and then would people be? I guarantee you, some people would be out there being like, "Man, Hutch is a step slow. Hutch isn't
Yep,
getting off the block. Hutch,
doesn't
just
look the
calm
same.
down." Exactly. Oh, last year chill out, guys. Like the sky is not falling. We're a damn good team. Yes, and I know you mentioned Kirby. He's slightly banged up. I heard through the grapevine. Just I can't remember which reporter said it. He should be good to go for next week's practice. Obviously, he's
Hmm.
not playing in the Hall of Fame game, or at least he better not be. But I don't think any starters really would be. I know you're going to get on in on that more, but um, yeah, like I think everything's for now looks great with Hutch. I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I cannot wait for Thursday. Like I cannot wait to see what these guys got, even if they are the backups.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Thursday, I'm definitely excited for. The only bad part is I have to practice that day, so I'm hoping I'll actually be able to watch the game.
What time?
Um, I think the game's at 8:30,
Games
right?
it? I think it's 8, but it might be
Oh,
8
okay.
pre-show and 8:30 kick. I don't
Okay.
know.
So yeah, that I should be able to make it. We get out around 8:15. So,
Okay.
however, I did want to mention one more thing on Aiden Hutchinson. It sounds like he needs some milk. It sounds like he needs to drink some damn milk. Okay, if this dude's broke both of his fucking legs, that's insane. Okay, okay drink milk probably 3 times a day. All right, to be real with you, I've never broken a bone in my life. Just saying,
Oh,
Aiden
really?
Hutchinson, take some tips, brother. That's all I'm saying.
Never?
All right, never any of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and I played football for 9 years, so I'm just
Not even
saying.
you were a lineman, right?
I mean, I might have broke fingers. I never went to the
I was gonna
hospital.
say, I'm like, I was a
Lineman
receiver.
shit.
I've broken at least 8 fingers between balls, and
Jesus Christ.
I got two stuck in a guy's face mask, and yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's.
yeah,
But
that
I'm just like,
sucks.
as a lineman, I figure that would happen more often. But
No, I honestly I only got injured one time, and it was a pretty bad ankle injury. But outside of that, that's all I really ever dealt with. So
I'm glad.
I
I'm
attribute it
glad.
to the milk. So I will say, Aiden Hutchinson, you need some vitamin D, brother. Carry you a fucking gallon of milk everywhere you go. All right, because we don't need no more leg problems.
Yeah,
I will supply the milk if you need it, brother.
yeah.
Trust me.
Like I said, and I do want to. In fact, maybe when you do your next segment, I'll look it up because I don't know if it was the same leg. So either broke the same leg twice or once on each. But either
I
way,
don't know
he's
which would
looking
be
great.
worse. Right, true.
I don't know either. But
It's like
for now, he's
one leg
okay at
twice
least.
is pretty bad because then you're like, well, maybe he breaks it again, right? But then it's like if he broke both legs, you're like, this dude's just got bad luck, man. Like
Yeah,
that's just fucked.
yeah. I'll
Um,
look into that.
so anyway, so actually what I was talking about before, like you cut out for a second, then
Yeah.
came back. What I was just mentioning was the defense apparently just looks great as a whole. It sounds like Shepard has them flying around, fast, physical. They're blitzing well. They're getting to Goff a lot, which is a good thing for our defense. Not so great for our
Or
offense.
does our O line suck?
Right. Yeah. We won't know, unfortunately, for till, well, we got a couple more days. And hopefully, and actually, we'll get to this in a second, but hopefully, some of them actually play on Thursday. I'd like to see Glasgow. I'd like to see Ratledge. I don't think Ratledge will play, though. I would like to see Mahogany and another guy, Tristan Colin, which I'll talk about later. I'm excited to watch him play as well. However, the defense just looks really good. Like in general, the DBs look really good as well. I've heard a lot about like our depth defensive backs just playing really well throughout camp, whether it be Rakestraw or Rock Ya-Sin or Avante Maddox or whoever the case may be. It sounds like we got some really good DBs, which is obviously always a great thing. Some other defenders, though, that have been making a little bit of noise at camp, Isaac Ukwu, who I don't know if a lot of you guys remember him, but he actually played a decent amount of snaps for us last year after the, injury riddled season that we had. And he actually was pretty productive. He didn't get multiple sacks or anything like that, but I will say even in last year's preseason, he really popped off the screen. So he's a guy that's looking to take another step this offseason, which, he's another guy that Brad Holmes is probably looking at and saying, if he plays really well on Thursday, maybe we don't go for Zadarius Smith or Matt Judon, which is another thing that I'm getting there about talking about. However, Ukwo is another one of those guys that might be in that kind of rotation. Now, the Zadarius Smith, Matt Judon stuff kind of excites me. I think it should kind of excite everyone. It sounds like there's a high chance we sign one of the two guys, depending on what happens on Thursday. Now, obviously, if, our guys come out and they play amazing and we just look great, we have 7 sacks as a team. Do I think that should stop us? No. And here's why, okay? I think Zadarius Smith is a good player. I think Matt Judon is a good player. I think we still need another good player at edge, right? And I think most people would agree on that. Now, are we screwed if not? Not necessarily, but it'd make me feel a lot better. Now, if we go out and get 7 sacks, that sounds great, but you have to remember it's a bunch of backups, guys. Like, let's be real here. Our backups are going to be playing backups. It's not like we're sending out our backups to play against starters, and then we can really see what they look like. It's not quite there. I mean, maybe week 3 of the preseason or week 2, you might see more of that.
It
But
did
I don't.
happen last year with
Yeah,
Kansas City. We played Hooker and they played Mahomes.
yeah, and that's it. Definitely will happen. It's just probably not this week because this
Yep.
especially is like. I will say this, and your Lions fans, probably most fans are going to hate me when I say this. This is probably the most lackadaisical week of the preseason period because it's the first game of the year.
Yep.
Like they're not showing anything. They literally are going to do the most basic shit that they have. I can almost guarantee that. That also means guys like Tyleek Williams and Ratledge probably won't even play. Most of our I would not be surprised if Tesla doesn't play. I mean, I could see that. Like,
I
yeah,
hope he does.
I hope he does. I really do. But I could see it being a game where we legit let Lovett and like these practice squad guys go out and try to ball, because this is their shot. I feel like at this point. But with that being said, shoot, I lost my train of thought. We were talking preseason. Oh, Zadarius Smith, Matt Judon. That's where we were going with this. Zadarius Smith, I feel needs to be added, or Matt Judon needs to be added no matter what, in my opinion. Now, do I think we're screwed if not? Not really. But I don't know if this game should necessarily tell us, oh, yes, we need him, or oh, no, we don't. Like, if that's how we're doing it, I don't love the process. I kind of believe, and I think most people have believed throughout this process, that a lot of the veterans aren't signing right now because they don't want to do training camp. I mean, we see that all the time. Seems like every year we see that. So that's just my 2 cents about that. James, do you have any thoughts or comments on that?
Um, I think we should, between the Judon and Smith, I think we should sign both. We have the cap space. I mean, if they're available right now, they're not going to command a big salary.
Mm.
And if they do, then obviously we pass on them. But we have room for depth and a need for depth at pass rushers. And to be fair, I think almost all 32 teams want more depth at pass rushing. I would probably lean Smith over Judon just because he's more familiar already with us. I know we switched defensive coordinators. I can't imagine the playbook is that different, obviously somewhat, but there's at least some identity with him. And also maybe just kind of still thinking about the mentally being in last season. I really wanted to see what Hutch and Smith would look like together, and obviously we never got to see that. So um, I would like that to happen. I was kind of shocked that did not happen the day after Ragnow officially retired because we freed up cap space with that. So I'm like, okay, well now we have the money. So if it was a money issue, because I know we've been saying for months, like, where is he? He should be here. And a part of me is thinking, and I know you kind of touched on it. I almost wonder if because they are both seasoned veterans, they're both not young guys. That I wonder if they're waiting to sign until after a couple preseason games, just so that way this is more like veteran rest time, so that way they don't have to, they can kind of skip training camp and stuff like that, as long as they're keeping their bodies in shape. They're professional athletes, and like I said, they're seasoned vets. They know what they need to do. They know where their bodies need to be, and you know, so uh, but yeah, I would kick the tires on both if possible, because I mean, if you could have both of them come out and rotate, and God forbid, but we have another injury, then you have a little bit more depth. So I would like to at least attempt to kick the tires on both of them. But that's where I am with that. But I know I wanted to quickly jump back on what you were mentioning with Tesla, and I know I read the same report you did that they said it's highly unlikely that Williams and Ratledge play. But I'm like, Tesla, I think he needs the reps because when he was at Arkansas, he wasn't a featured guy. So personally, since he is, in my opinion, at least starting the season, and I am high on Tesla. From what I've seen on Twitter/X, I might be the number one guy high on Tesla, which I am fine with hitching my bandwagon to that one early. But I think he's coming into the season as our wide receiver four. I do think he'll pass Tim Patrick, like with the practices and whatnot throughout the season. But I think he's starting at receiver four. So being a guy who didn't have a ton of production slash wasn't featured in Arkansas, I think this would be a great time to feature him. Give him 10, 11 targets. Like, let's see what you got, kid. And then if he, goes out there and balls out, then we can shut him down and hide him for the regular season. But I would try to get him some reps. So I would be kind of disappointed if he doesn't play.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you there. I would definitely be a little disappointed, especially because it would, like you mentioned, be kind of the time for us to see what he can really, really do. Especially if we have, Kyle Allen and Hendon Hooker. They're not the greatest quarterbacks, obviously, but they could probably get him some decent deep balls. So it'd be kind of cool to see how that would work out. Now I also wanted to touch on something you mentioned with the, Zadarius Smith, Matt Judon thing. I do agree that kicking the tires on both of them would be a good idea. And also, I wanted to say that I personally was so pissed when we cut Zadarius Smith simply because when we traded for him, in my head, I was thinking about next season. I was like, oh, we did this. Yes, it helps us have a stopgap for this year, but it also means we get him for next season to be across from Hutch, and that's what we've always needed. I was like, yeah, we finally did it. It felt like a missing piece almost, like that missing puzzle piece clicked, and it's like, there we go, we're gonna be good. And then we cut him, and it's like, what the fuck happened? We did
Yeah.
what? Like I saw it and was like, is this a joke? Like, what the fuck is going on here? And then obviously he's still a free agent, so there's a chance we bring him back, and I do still think it is likely. I think it's kind of not necessarily always been the plan, but I think it's always been in the cards for us to bring him back. Now with that being said, we will kind of wrap up our training camp talks with a little bit of more offense. Um, just to kind of run through this list to make it quick, obviously Jamison Williams is looking awesome. We've all heard that many, many times throughout this camp. His routes look way better, way crispier, way cleaner. He looks like a different player a little bit coming off the line. And it does seem like his hands got better. He's gotten bigger a little bit too, which I wonder if we're going to use him a little bit like Deebo Samuel. Maybe put him in the backfield a little bit. Use him. I definitely want to use him on more Jets. I don't feel like we've used him on Jets even close to enough. I would also love to see JMO do like a jet screen type situation where you fake the jet and then you pass it to him on a screen. I think that would work awesome because then he's getting the ball full speed with blockers in front of him. Good luck. But again, it does sound like he's just taking it up to the next level. Like we mentioned with Isaac Tesla, he's having a pretty good camp. We've all seen the clips of him with his head taps or whatever the kids call it these days. Um, and then another wide receiver who's looking pretty good is Dominic Lovett, our seventh round pick rookie, who I was a big fan of when we took him. I didn't know too much about him when we did, but then watching some film and reading some things about him, the kid could be a beast. Okay, he's looking really really good. And then to wrap up this portion, at least to give you your moment before I put too much on you to respond here. Laporta seems like he's going to have a pretty huge year in this offense, which obviously he's a cornerstone for the offense, but he didn't have quite the season last year that everybody thought he would. And it sounds like he's definitely going to get a more of a featured role with Morton. So with that being said, what are your thoughts?
Well, I want to start with JMO because everyone who does watch knows I love JMO. He's my favorite player. If you follow me on X, he's my profile picture. Um, and then I've been justly, I would say, getting ribbed a little bit because I have said multiple times on occasion I do think his ceiling is higher than St. Brown's. And like I said, I justly am getting ribbed about it, but I feel like now we're starting to see a little bit. And once again, I'm not saying he's already passed him or anything like that, but you can see how JMO keeps elevating his game. I have a feeling he's going to get there. Whether he's there yet or not, we don't know. If he is, fantastic. But either way, he's not just a deep ball guy. He's not just, and I'm not saying this to slight him by any means, but he's not just like Deshaun Jackson, who's just do a nine route and you're either getting hit deep or you're taking the safety away from everyone else, and that's it. He's been doing a lot more um, variations, I'll say, of his route tree. He's finally, I don't know if he as a player is more developed or if under this new system he's asked to do more. So he's just showing off what he could have done this whole time. Either way, kind of like the Hutch situation, which I do have an update on his legs, but kind of either way, he's looking better. So whether it is him developing or him just being more in his own rhythm, in his own element, either way, it's a good thing for us because it's looking better than ever. Um,
It's honestly probably both. It's probably just a little of
yeah.
both. So
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you don't peak as a rookie unless, well, there's a handful, but not often. Um, oh my gosh, I just spaced on the guard. I was gonna Larry Warford, former guard. I'm like, A plus rookie season and kind of just coasted from there. But
yep.
I'm like, yeah, you don't often peak as a rookie, but he's healed up. I haven't even, and that was the other thing too. Is once again as a JMO fan, in the past he's had some issues with his hands. I haven't seen a single report of anything about drop balls or anything. So I mean, I don't think it was that big of an issue. I think some of it was blown out of proportion, but yes, he had some drops. It happens. Fortunately, I should say, actually, not unfortunately. Fortunately, we're used to watching St. Brown, who has some of the best hands in the league, so anything in comparison to him looks bad. But
True.
hopefully now we have two sure-handed receivers, and that was another thing, as I'm kind of hitching my wagon to the Tesla fan club right now, is while he was in college, in case people weren't familiar with him, I mean, to be fair or to be honest, I didn't really know too much about him until you brought him up on one of our other podcasts. You said you wanted him, and I'm like, well, let me check this guy out, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, so do I. And but going through his highlights and his stat lines and all that, he has recorded zero, is credited with zero drops in his college career. So once
Dog.
again, yeah. So once again, he wasn't targeted much. I think he only had like 30, 37 receptions. I don't know the targets. So it's a small sample size because once again, he wasn't featured. But we know St. Brown's as reliable as they come with hands. JMO, it seems to be improving. And now Tesla's coming in with good hands. You mentioned Laporta. I mean, this offense is going to be so much fun to watch. And I don't expect really, besides Tesla, any of these guys to play I was going to say tomorrow, but that would be Wednesday. On Thursday. But this, God, I can't wait for the season to start, man. Add in Gibbs and Montgomery, and this is gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited as well, as all Lions fans should be, because this could be obviously last year was the best season in Lions football history in terms of our wins, but I think this season could be even more special in a lot of ways.
Say, wait until we get McNeil back too.
Right. Yeah.
And then the only other thing I wanted to touch on is you mentioned Lovett. Lovett's another guy that I didn't really know too much about pre-draft, um, but he offers kind of, uh, in my opinion, a similar skill set to Khalif Raymond. He's very
Hmm.
shifty, a quick route, 3, 5 yard slant, get open. I feel like he's going to be a guy that might thrive in the preseason, almost like a Tom Kennedy. And I mean, we'll see. To be honest, just because, like I mentioned, we have St. Brown, JMO, Tesla, Tim Patrick. So I don't even know if Lovett's going to make the team just because we're deep at receiver. Maybe he gets stashed on the practice squad or something like that. No big deal if he does. But that's another name that I would look forward to watching on Thursday. And he's got to, as a seventh round pick, he's got to play on Thursday.
Oh
So,
yeah, for sure.
and then just a quick update on Hutch's legs, since I did get an answer for that. He broke his left shin last year, and at Michigan it was a right ankle, so it was kind of a one on
Okay,
each. I thought it was leg, it turns out to be ankle, so I was slightly off there, but that's the update with that. So kind of one on each side.
gotcha. So yeah, I mean, could be worse, I guess. Ankle versus leg seems like
Yeah, I
two
thought it was
just
leg,
odd
but it was
injuries.
ankle.
Yeah.
It was
Um,
2001. Forgive me.
yeah, right. With that being said, the next
2021.
portion. Oh, yeah, that makes more
I was
sense.
gonna say, I'm
When
like,
you
wait a
said that, I was
second.
like,
Oh, hold
wait,
up.
I don't know if he was even.
2021. Shit, he
um,
might not even been born.
I don't. I think he was probably. He seems like he was born. I want to say in like '99 or 2000. Well,
God,
no, he's probably born in 2001. Honestly, now that I think about it, that's
that's
crazy.
something I can look up in 30 seconds.
Um, I would not be surprised, man, if he was that, because I feel like
August 9th,
Sewell.
2000.
Okay, Sewell is older than, or no,
Sewell's
younger
only
than
like
me.
24 or
Yeah,
something
he's
like
younger
that.
than me by like 2 days, I think. His birthday's like really close to the same as mine. So that means Hutch is older than Sewell, though, which is kind of
Yeah,
confusing.
Hutch is 24. I'm sorry, Sewell's 24. October 9th. I'm October 3rd. So,
Oh, okay. So I'm actually, yeah, he's older than me by 4 days.
yeah, he's October 9th, 2000.
Or no, 5 days. Yeah, that's wild.
I was already 10, 9, 9.
Man, it's crazy to think that I'm older than these rookies now. It's like a weird step to
You'll
make.
get there.
Yeah.
Wait until, like, I'm 33. Wait until you have a 33-year-old free agent and they're like, I don't know, he's awfully old. He's about to
Yeah, right.
retire. I'm like,
Get this
fuck
fucker
you,
out of here.
dude.
This fucking old coot.
Exactly. They're like, this guy's on his last leg. I'm like,
Wherever,
fuck me,
wherever you're
man.
talking about kicking the tires on Matt Judon and Zadarius Smith, and they're like 30,
I know. Yeah,
31.
exactly.
but so moving on to the next portion of training camp talk. It sounds like Davenport looks great. Obviously, we talked about that a little bit before. He did make some comments that the fans didn't seem to appreciate too much, which I didn't have a problem with him, honestly. Like when he said, "Don't count on me to be that guy across from Aiden Hutchinson. I'm just trying to stay healthy." Like
Oh, yeah.
people are
Didn't
upset
bother
about
me.
that, and I'm like, why are you upset? You're literally bitching because he can't stay healthy, and he is telling you,
Exactly.
all I want to do is play football. And you're like, what do you mean? You don't want to be the defensive player of the year? And it's like, well, bro, come on, let's be fucking realistic here. Like people, and that pisses me off too, because there's like this whole, obviously football is like the gladiators of today or whatever you want to say, but they're not literally fucking gladiators, people. Like I don't understand why people just think they should just be kill, 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 go as hard as possible all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, guys, chill out a little bit, okay?
And the
They're
funny
doing what they
thing,
can.
the funny thing that I'll jump in on here. Sorry to interrupt you, but
You're good.
when you mentioned like going hard and kill, 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 that's reminds me of a Davenport quote from Aleem McNeil last year in training camp. He said because obviously people are rotating in and out, blah blah blah. he mentioned that he knew when Davenport was on his side because the pop of the pads was different when Davenport was hitting as opposed to whoever else.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I don't know, maybe that contributed to his health issues, but I've seen so many comments of people saying, just stay healthy. Like, you
Hmm.
can't play more than 3 games. And then he comes out and says, hey, I'm just trying to be healthy. And then, like you said, they don't accept that either. So,
Yeah. And I think that's just people expecting more out of someone than they should really. It's just it's not him saying I'm not going to try to be a good player. It's just him saying like that's a little far in the future for me right now. I'm just worried about playing week 1 and then playing week 2 and so on and so forth. So it's like
absolutely.
I think it's a very respectable answer, honestly. And so many people were pissed. They're like, "This is the opposite of what I want to hear from you." And it's like, "All right, dude, I don't even want to hear what you got to say anymore." At this point, there's so many people. I'm just like, "All right, cool."
Yeah, not every man on the 53-man roster is Michael Jordan, where he's like, I'm going to be the best player. No, I'm going to be the best player. No, I'm going
Right,
to be.
right,
Some people, like, I played receiver in high school. I was the third receiver, so in base formations, as you know, in high school, they don't often, or at least in my day, they didn't often use 3 receivers. So I was semi-starter, and like I knew I wasn't the best guy there. There's
hmm
nothing wrong with kind of accepting your role and moving on. That's
yeah.
where I'll leave that.
And that's exactly the point. It's like, hey guys, it's a fucking team sport. That's the point. They're supposed to be role players. You ever watched basketball before? There's only one guy normally that is like just insanely good, and everyone else just does their job. That's how you win. Okay. So now, moving on. It does sound like Ratledge is being shaped to be the center of the future, but it also sounds like he might not be the center of this season. It does sound like Glasgow's been playing really well there. It sounds like he's more comfortable there, even. Dan Campbell made some pretty positive comments about him playing there. I personally like the idea of having Ratledge play guard this season because he's more used to that. It makes it to where he'll probably have a little bit better of a rookie season and get more comfortable. And then that way, if you do want to move him over to center next year, he's more comfortable as a player. Also, I don't love the idea of a rookie being center. Like, if you can help it, I'd rather have a guy who's been there, done that. Unless, I mean, okay, if this guy's played center his whole life and has only played center, sure. But this is a guy who hasn't played center in college. He hasn't called out, pass protections or coverages or anything along those lines since he was in high school, probably. So I think getting him ready, but not quite shoving him in there when he's not quite ready is the good idea. And also remember, Ragnow played guard his first year as well. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes the best guys don't always start in the position that they end, I guess is the best way to put
Yeah,
it.
you took the words out of my mouth because I was about to say, I'm like, even Ragnow played center in college, and he even played right guard for us his first year before moving to center. And I know we mentioned on prior podcasts, I'm like, I personally liked Ratledge as a guard once we didn't re-sign, um, oh my God, Zeitler.
Hmm.
Once we didn't re-sign Zeitler and we took Ratledge, I'm like, okay, there's a plug and play. And as you mentioned, Glasgow's played center before. I remember looking it up in the past, and it was under 10, but I think it was like 7 to 8 games he started at center. And like you mentioned, a rookie is getting used to the strength of NFL D linemen, the speed of NFL D linemen. Let him play guard, and then you can slide him over. Because as you mentioned, he does not have any reps at center in a game in college, but I did read an interview or quote, whatever you want to call it, from him, saying he did take practice reps at center in college because if their center went down, he would have slid over and a new right guard would have happened. But thankfully, that never happened, so he just only played right guard in games. So he's had a fair amount of practice reps at center, but he's never played in a game at all at center. So to do that
Right.
for the first time at the NFL level is asking a lot. And I'm big on the guy. I loved when we picked him, but that's just a tall order to kind of stand up to.
Yeah, and I mean, when we're replacing guys like Ragnow and Zeitler from last season, it does make sense to put guys where they're more comfortable because you really don't want to have a shaky first 4 games with that offensive line because that could cause a lot of issues, as time goes on. But next, small anecdotal thing, but John Gruden was at Lions training camp. Personally, okay, all I'm going to say is, and I'm going to leave it at this. What happened to him being canceled? Because that just kind of went away. You notice that? It literally just went away. No one thinks about it or talks about it anymore. It's like, and I'm not going to say it was rightful or wrongful. I don't know the details necessarily that much to talk about it in that way, but it's just funny how he got fired for it. And then a couple years later, the dude makes some funny fucking TikToks and everybody loves him again. It's like, oh, okay. That's all you got to do. Gotcha.
You'll see him on the Corona commercials again, or whatever the beer
Yeah,
he was doing
yeah.
before.
It's like, what the hell? And then he shows up to the Lions training camp, which it's like, that's fine. But it's just funny because it's like he's doing his press tour basically right now because he's got his podcast or whatever that he's been doing that's getting pretty big and different shows and things like that. I just kind of thought it was ironic. That's all.
I did hear that our new offensive coordinator, John Morton, invited him. I know something. I don't know their exact relationship, but I know Morton called him somewhat of a mentor to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they've coached together on prior teams or something, but I know there's some kind of connection there. And then in terms of being canceled, like you said, last year we had our best season of all time, and unfortunately he just passed away. But the late Hulk Hogan was with us last off season at training camp, and he was pretty canceled too when he was there. So
and people were pissed. I remember that.
Apparently, we just need to keep bringing in maybe just one canceled person a year, and we'll see what happens.
Oh shit. I was gonna say something, but I'm not. All right, let's move on. Anyway, so yeah. With that being said, though, the last thing about camp is something I love, something I really was happy to hear, is that camp has been super physical. Practice has been had. Let me restart there. Practice has been had to have been stopped. See, I did it again. Because of physicality and players just being too aggressive and hitting each other too hard and shit. Like, practice was stopped for fighting multiple times as well. Which, look, man, you don't want to see players fighting. Like, for instance, I'm a high school coach. I do not ever want to see my players fighting. When it happens, I get pissed because it's just like, what the hell are we doing? However, at the NFL and college level, it's a lot different, and it's because of the fact that these rosters are so big, okay? These guys don't really know each other, especially the rookies, the undrafted free agents, the guys we just picked up. Like, every year, NFL players will tell you themselves, it's like a 30 to 40% roster turnover every season, just because you got starters and backups and new rookies and whatever the case, So I just feel like it's a good thing because it kind of shows the grit that we have, if that makes sense. I don't love the term grit for that specific thing because that's kind of our slogan, our catchphrase or whatever, but that's kind of what it is. It shows our tenacity, oh, we don't care, we're throwing down. And the thing is with it is that it also shows that the guys at the bottom of the roster have that as well. So that's a really good thing. I think obviously fighting isn't a good thing, but it can be in these certain situations. So that's just, that is what it is, I will say, and hopefully it does not bleed into the regular season because that's when it's a problem. Right now it's training camp. There's fucking 90 dudes out there trying to win a spot. And that's the big thing too, is it's like this is their livelihood. They're trying to it's not about football for a lot of these guys, and that's something we don't really think about. They're trying to change their lives forever. Like, it's not just, oh, I want to be the wide receiver 4. No, it's I want to make millions of dollars and be able to pay for my family to live well. So that's why that happens. These guys are like, you're trying to take my money out of my pocket, essentially.
Exactly. And that was one thing I'm glad you mentioned because I can only nitpick on some of the things you said because you said 90% of what I wanted to say. the people that are fighting, and I don't have names, but it's not like Sewell and Hutch or our main guys. It's like you said, the undrafted free agents, or the super late round picks, or kind of the camp bodies that are trying to make a name for themselves. So they're going a little extra hard, and then human nature sometimes takes over. You never want to see fighting, but like you said, these people are not only for themselves, but they're trying to make this roster. They're trying to live their dream. They're trying to set their kids up and everything else. So I do like you said, that edge to them because you need it to play on the Lions. Because like you mentioned, our whole motto is grit. Now, once again, don't be dirty, but be tough and resilient. But the only other thing I wanted to mention, onto what you were saying, is Campbell said in one of the press conferences fairly recently, it might have been a week old, that he sees there's only about 2 to 3 roster spots that are really up for grabs. Everything else is pretty much already decided with guys coming back from last year and draft picks and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and that's a very valid point because that is what it is. I mean, we only have 53, spots. And like you said, most of them are filled because fortunately for the Lions, we didn't really have too much roster turnover. I mean, we lost a couple guys like Carlton Davis and things like that, but we immediately replaced him with DJ Reed.
Oh,
So it's like we don't, like you said, we don't really have a lot of spots open for these guys, and that could be another reason, why these things are happening. So with that being said, we will wrap up the Lions portion with a little bit of our preseason talk. This will be somewhat quick, as quick as we can make it, because there is a little bit decent amount to cover here. But essentially, this is what we got. Okay, obviously we play the Chargers on Thursday in the Hall of Fame game. Clearly, as we talked about before, a lot of our players won't even play at all. They won't even suit up or anything like that. So don't get your hopes up too high. Um, One fun thing I will say is that I'm a little excited to watch. Trey Lance is starting for the Chargers. So that'll kind of give the Lions a little bit of a different look. And we're not that great with mobile quarterbacks. So think about it that way. We might get our first look at this new look Lions defense and how we prepare against mobile quarterbacks. Now, again, I do not think we're going to be showing anything special, but we could just see some tweaks, some different stuff like, oh, it doesn't work as well anymore, or it works better, or whatever the case may be. And also just because I want to see Trey Lance because he was supposed to be so good, and who knows? Who knows? He's still young. Um, but with that being said, some names to watch for the Lions. And this is just like a laundry list, I guess is the best way to put it. It's not like this is like just my personal opinion. I would say Ukwu, Keith Cooper, who is another undrafted free agent guy who the Lions have been pretty high on throughout camp. Grant Stewart, our new free agent linebacker, apparently has been looking pretty good in camp, and I'm excited to see how he plays in the game simply because he could be one of those guys that honestly like plays Rodrigo's spot while he's gone. I think he has legit potential to do that. And that means he will probably start in the preseason game, which would be pretty cool to see. And then Graham Glasgow, obviously, if he plays, we'll see. Christian Mahogany, he's another one. He'll probably start for us in the regular season, but I could see him getting some snaps in this game simply because he didn't get a ton of snaps last year, and you want a guy like that to get the physical and get used to getting hit while doing his job, that we're asking him to do. And then Tristan Colon is another one that I really like that I think could be a pretty good depth piece for us, and he'll probably play a lot in the preseason game. And then we already mentioned Dominic Lovett. The quarterback battle, I'm excited to see as well with Hendon Hooker, Kyle Allen. I want to see who's going to win that, that 1-2, or I'm sorry, the backup and then the QB3 spot. We'll kind of know a little bit by who starts the game. I think whoever starts the game is our backup, and then we'll kind of see who plays, who does what from there. And then obviously, Hassanine. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Hassanine. Have we figured that out yet?
Yes and no. I have heard it, but that was like a month ago, so I forgot it. It's either Hassanine or Hassanin, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So we've been saying it
We're
almost,
close.
at
Yeah, we're
least almost
close.
right. All right. So
Hopefully he makes so many plays on Thursday, we'll be used to it and get
yeah,
no
right.
problem.
We'll be fluent in his last
Yeah.
name. Um, So I'm excited to see him play as well. Obviously, for the obvious reasons, he was a late round edge selection. So we'll see if he makes it. And then Roy Lopez and Muhammad, I feel like are two defensive linemen to watch throughout this game. And then Sione Vaki will probably get a lot of running back snaps for us. And then kind of the whole DB group, Rakestraw, Rocky Sin, Avante Maddox, and like Dan Jackson as well as another guy. We got a lot of DBs, man. And it's going to be hard to pick who's going to make the team. And that's going to be a battle, I think. So it's going to be kind of a fun watch to see how those guys do coming this Thursday. Now, before we move on to the Tigers, do you have anything to add for the preseason game?
No, you pretty much covered it. The only thing I'm really looking at specifically, besides a handful of names, um, is like you mentioned the DBs and the receivers. I think corners, specifically corner. I think we're a little bit thinner at safety. Not saying we're thin, but thinner. Corners and receivers, I think, are the 2 to 3 jobs um, that I believe that we could have on this team. Because as I kind of mentioned when we were talking about how well JMO was doing, but between the new guys, because we retained all top 4 of our receivers. I know Khalif Raymond got hurt last year, but he's back. We re-signed Tim Patrick, and then we drafted Tesla and Lovett. So I mean, if we keep all of them right now, that's 6. And I know there's a 1 or 2 guys that names are escaping me that we signed, just undrafted free agent guys and whatnot. Kind of like Dylan Drummond last year. He kind of came out of nowhere. He was bordering on making the team, and unfortunately, he was cut. Um, but he was a prospect that a lot of Lions fans fell in love with during this part of the season and the preseason process last year. So obviously, there might be a name that we don't even know yet, but they're like you said, they're playing for their lives, they're playing for their careers, they're playing for their families. Like there might just be someone that kind of oh, what's that guy? Rudy kind of goes Rudy on them and just refuses to give up and just outworks everyone. So I mean, we'll find out in at least step 1 of the process. Obviously, you get multiple games to show what you got, but we get to find out in 48 hours. So,
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Football is back. With that being said, before we move on to the next segment, Fanatics, okay, they currently have a pretty good deal going on. Different percentages on everything, so I'm not even going to mention a percentage. It's up to 70% off those. So, yeah, could get crazy, all right, depending on what you want. However, link is in the description. Click that link and it will help us out, and you will also get some really cool gear at a low price. Now, Try the World, okay? Trytheworld.com is what it sounds like. You try the world. Now, the difference is you get to like try different countries' foods, like snacks and things like that, for a low subscription rate. And right now they have a lot of deals going on, a lot of different 20% offs, and different things like that. So click the description, try the world, and try some new awesome snacks that I have not had before, and I'm sure you have not either. You want to try something from, I don't know, Korea? Go for it. They have that. Uh, like I said, click the link in the description and help us out, and you will get some awesome snacks while you do it. With that being said, we will now move on to the Tigers segment, the final segment of the show. Obviously, some things are going on in Detroit right now, good and bad. We've made a trade, which we will talk about in a second. We're also in conversations to make some more. So, with that being said, James, I will pass the mic to you. The floor is yours.
yeah, it is kind of a confusing time to be a Tigers fan. Everything looks the current vibe is everything's going to be okay at least for now because we finally got our head out of our ass with the last 2 games here. Um, as I always mention, we are 3-7 our last 10 games, which is not good, obviously. However, the slight light at the end of the tunnel is we're on a 2-game win streak. So without those games, we were 1-7 over 9, but we won't talk about that. But or 1-7 over 8, I mean. But as you mentioned, we have made a trade. The Tigers are actually, sorry, taking a quick step back from that. One thing I did want to say is because I've seen a lot of comments online. Yes, we had a pretty poor stretch. I even want to say we were 2-12 out of a 14 game stretch. Um, I might only be one game off, but that's right around it. We are still, right now, as of today, 9 games up in our division. So even after 2 horrendous weeks, we're still 9 games up on the division. We are still not locked, but unless we play like shit the entire rest of the year, pretty much locked, excuse me, into a playoff spot. And in case you, because I have seen some fans on X say if we don't like right the ship, they're out, which blows my mind because besides these 2 weeks, because yes, we have been terrible these last 2 weeks, but besides these last 2 weeks, we were on like top 5 franchise pace. So relax. The season is so long, there's ups and downs. And like I said, we're currently on a 2 game winning streak, so maybe the down is gone for now. I mean, we'll see. We should be playing right now. Um,
I wonder, like, is this just a Detroit thing? Is this just a Michigan sports thing, or does this happen with every fan base? Because I feel like we talk about this every week on every show, and it's a different team every time. I feel like it's just constant, like, you can't make them happy. There's nothing you can do. You have to win the Super Bowl 7 years in a row. Like, genuinely, genuinely. Now, Lions fans, let me have it in the comments, please, because it helps us get more views. But no, let me have it in the
Now
comments
we're
on
just
this
gonna be
one.
called baiters.
Master, never mind.
Oh, jeez. This is
Anyway,
not that kind of show.
anywho, anywho, um, now I forgot where I was going with that.
Michigan
It
Sports
can
Media
be.
OnlyFans starting soon.
Hey, Patreon, baby, hit me. No, what the hell was I saying? Oh, no, my point is that call me crazy, but I feel like if the Detroit Lions won the Super Bowl next year, and then the next following season did not win the Super Bowl, Lions fans would be pissed. They would
Oh
be
yeah,
pissed.
man, we
They'd be like, "What the
regressed.
fuck? What the fuck are we doing? We can't be the fucking Patriots. We can't be the fucking No, you can't. That's the point. That's what makes them so fucking good. No one is. That's the fucking idea, guys. Like, come on. We not every team that wins the Super Bowl is a dynasty. It just so happens that we've seen a lot of them happen, okay? The Lions could do it, but let's not act like it's just the regular thing to do to win back-to-back Super Bowls or whatever, 3 out of 5 or whatever the case may be,
Exactly.
okay?
We've seen teams win one Super Bowl and then go back to being irrelevant. Green Bay Packers, and
True.
like it just happens. But yeah,
And that's my whole thing about it. My whole point here was that I am just kind of sick and tired of Michigan sports fans in general. Like even Michigan football fans that we just won a natty and everybody's like pissed because we didn't do it again. It's like, dude, shit's going to happen, especially in college. Like it's hard to
we
keep the team.
literally replaced 10 of our 11 starters from our natty year to last year.
Yeah.
Colston Loveland was the only returning starter, who's now a Chicago Bear. But
And that is kind of what I'm talking about is these people they don't take that into account. They just say we won, we should win again, and it's like no. And that goes with the Tigers right now, where like you said, it's been a bad 2 weeks, but it's been the best season maybe ever so far.
it's top five it was top five in franchise history before the last 2 weeks.
Right, and that's the thing is now you got people like I've seen it on Twitter too, where people are like, "Oh, if we can't turn it around, I'm out."
Yep. Yep.
Hey, bro, how about shut up? All right.
Exactly.
I'll just leave
Like
it
I
at
said, we're
that.
still 9 games up in the division, and it is a decently weak division. It started out strong, but as the long season went on, water levels. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
high, sometimes it finds its medium. And unfortunately, because the Tigers are playing right now, it is 1-0, not Tigers, but it's only the first inning, so plenty of baseball to go until I see stuff about that. Hey, look, we already have a guy on second.
Hey,
But but yeah, to put it also in perspective, because this brings up my next bullet point insanely well. If you don't like what the Tigers are doing right now, even after our 2 weeks of being kind of down, actually I can't say kind of, we were down for 2 weeks. Still, even after that stretch, we have a 22 game lead on the White Sox in our same division. So even after going, like I said, I think we were something like 2-12 our last 14 games. We still are 22 games ahead of a team in our division. So it could be worse. You could be Chicago fans. But thankfully,
damn.
for those that are smart enough to stick around, we are Tigers
And not be
fans.
Chicago fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang.
Or if they are White Sox fans, time to jump over to the Cubs or
Right.
something else. But but yeah, we still have a commanding lead on this division. Like I said, we're on a 2 game win streak. Um, and we just made a trade. And I will say the trade, and I will talk about it a little bit more in detail, but the gist of it um, is not earth-shattering. It's not a groundbreaking trade. It is not a, oh, we just made this trade, now we're in it for sure. But it's not bad. You got to look at what you give away to what you receive, because I've seen people already complain about the two pitchers that we received from the Twins, which by the way we just made an in division trade. We took two pitchers away that are major league caliber on the main roster, and all we gave away was a 19-year-old catching prospect that we wouldn't have even seen for 4 or 5 years. So we did not get the best pitchers on the planet, but we just had another injury with Reese Olson, unfortunately, going down for the entire season, for the remainder of the season. A couple weeks ago, we lost. Oh my God, not Mize. Mize is on my mind because he's pitching tonight. Job. We lost Jackson Job for the season, so we're two starting pitchers down. So we traded for one, and we got a relief pitcher because during this 2 week stretch, our bullpen has not been good. It has been good all year long. Tommy Canley and Will Vest and the same guys that were shutting other teams down late in games and were major contributors to why we were so successful, like those same exact guys have been failing us the last 2 weeks. They have allowed runs, stopped hitting the strike zone, and been walking a lot of guys, giving away free bases. And I don't know what's really gotten into them because, like I said, they were the same guys 2 months ago that were, I would say, borderline all stars and the guys that were leading the way. Um, But like I said, some help is here. We traded away nothing off our main roster, so our team today is better than it was yesterday because of this trade. Now, once again, I'm not going to say we're World Series favorites because of this trade, but it for sure makes us better now than we were yesterday. And for those that are complaining about the prospect that we sent away, Enrique Jimenez, he was our 14th ranked prospect in our system and he was a catcher. He is a catcher. The reason and I want to try to phrase this carefully because catchers are very important in baseball, but we have Dylan Dingler, who, for all intents and purposes, is a top 5 catcher, and I believe he's only 24. So it's like we kind of have that position on lock for the next, as long as we resign him and we avoid a Scooble moment. But as long as we resign him, we have our catcher position on lock for the next 8 to 10 years. So I'm not worried about losing a 19-year-old prospect when we get help today. So this, like I said, this I wouldn't say this trade's like a giant A plus, like oh my God, look what we got. But we also didn't give away anything either. So let's not, even if these guys aren't the best, because like they don't have the best numbers, they give up a run or two. Chris Paddock, the starting pitcher of the two, because we got one starter, one reliever. I believe he makes his first Tiger start tomorrow. So I mean, if he has a great start, great. If he has an average or below average start, once again we gave away next to nothing to get him. So let's just see what happens. Chris Fetter is our pitching coach. He is widely regarded as a top 5 pitching coach in the league, and that's being conservative. A lot of people have him number 1 or number 2. So maybe he can teach him a different grip, shift a leg lift. Like there's some small subtle adjustments that can end up being a big difference. Let's see what happens. But worst case scenario, we gave up next to nothing, like I said. The relief pitcher, we got Randy Bobnak. I'm probably butchering that last name. My apologies. Um, some people have seen him pitch in person before, which I kind of find this to be kind of a cool little nuance of the story. Um, if you are familiar with the USPBL, he is a former Utica Unicorn. For those who are not familiar, it is a small professional baseball league that is in Utica, Michigan, just sitting on Hall Road right there. And he tried his talents out there, got signed by the Twins to make it into the major league levels, and just got traded to the Tigers. So I know a handful of people, family and friends, that have watched him pitch before. So it's cool to kind of see him live out his dream, obviously. I mean, like I said, his stats are okay. Fucking better than me. He's in the pros. So, like, yeah, like I said, let's see what we get. Um, and I just can't stress enough, we gave away nothing. Like, even if even if Enrique Jimenez in 3 or 4 years' time becomes a great player, we have a great catcher in Dingler, so we're set anyways. It's kind of like trading away your backup quarterback when you already have an established starter. It's okay. Well, we had two. Cool.
True.
That
Which
brings me
that makes me think. Sorry to cut you off, but
Oh,
that
no,
makes me
you're
think.
good.
And I had this question that I wanted to ask you.
Go for it.
So we talked about this Scooble thing many times, right? And we kind of
Mhm.
said like, oh, it's like if the Eagles traded Saquon Barkley or the Mahomes thing. I was thinking about this the other day, okay? And call me crazy, right? And you guys in the comments let me know how you feel about this. I think trading, or I'm sorry, a starting pitcher, right, is like a front four in football. I think that's the best way to put it
Yeah.
because they are the front line for defense, number one. Okay. They don't score you any points, obviously. That's why I don't love the QB comparison. And obviously they don't play every game and blah 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 blah. The way I look at it is, okay, call me crazy. If you have one really good pitcher in some okay ones, it's similar to having one really good defensive lineman in some okay ones, right?
That's
If
fair.
you're like I would say Scooble, a trade of Scooble would be similar to like the Eagles trading their entire defensive line from last year.
I would say it's kind of with that comparison, I would say kind of like Scooble's Hutch. Like we have some okay guys on our D line, but Hutch is the guy. It's like we
Hmm.
have a couple okay. Granted, they got hurt. Reese Olson and Job are some of our better pitchers, and they're hurt. Well, I guess that can be Lee McNeil then, but and Pascal. But it's like Scooble is Hutch if you want to make the D line comparison. So I actually like that comparison as you said,
Yeah, and
especially since
I
they
just feel
rotate and
Yeah, and I just feel exactly. I just feel like with football, there's obviously no one-to-one comparisons, but I was just thinking, and I think that might be the best one that I could come up with in terms of how they affect the game and how important they are. Because I think most people would agree defensive line is your in top three of importance in a
absolutely.
football team. I mean, obviously quarterback, O line, D line, in any order. It's up to you to decide what order, but that's how it goes. And I
Yep.
feel pitching is very similar. But that just small aside there. I just wanted to ask that.
No, that's a very that is a good comparison. To be honest, I was thinking about it the other day, and I was going to make an O line comparison, but I'll take a D line comparison. Um, but yeah, it's like I feel like my mind went to O line just because there's five guys and there's five starting pitchers for most teams. But yeah, like that is a good comparison. They are pivotal even if they don't play every day. And um, like I said, it sucks when we've lost two of them because we do have I would say at least a World Series caliber team because for 90% of the year we were the number one team in baseball.
True.
And two of our five, so 40% of our. I mean, it's kind of I guess since it's 205, it's just like replacing Zeitler and Ragnow. Like I won't call the two guys we lost all pros. One was a sophomore coming off actually one was a rookie. So it's just like not quite the same, but yeah, like it's quite the adjustment. I'll just say that much. Which would bring me to my next point is Eugenio Suarez. who we are playing against. In fact, since I have the box score, I want to see if he's playing today, because then I will talk about. He is not. He is deemed the quote unquote. I saw someone call him the prize of the free agency. He is. I don't want to overhype him just because he is the best out there, because he's not earth shattering. He's not that blue chip guy, but he is the best guy out there. And he's been linked to the Tigers in trade talks. And if anyone who's been following baseball for a while, he used to be a Tiger back when he was a 18, 19-year-old prospect, and we traded him away, and then he actually developed and turned into someone real nice. So sometimes they don't develop, and you're like, ha, we got something for nothing, and sometimes they develop and bite you in the ass. But he's been in trade talks with the Tigers and some other teams. He is a big-time power bat. I want to say he has 36 home runs on the season, and he leads the league in RBIs.
Damn.
So the whole league. So he's very offensive productive. He is a defensive liability. He has a minus defensive rating. But he's the starting third baseman for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are in Detroit right now playing against the Tigers. And one of the relief pitchers I mentioned before, Will Vest, just last night hit him on the hands with a fastball. And if you were watching the game, just from like the telecast, you could hear the sound of the ball hitting his hand. I made a post on X. I thought it was broken. I've watched baseball for a lot of years. When you pinch your hand between the ball and the bat, it just compresses it. There's no room for it to move. It's not like a ball hitting your mid or something. There's no give. Thankfully, they did X-ray his hand after the game, and those came back negative. So nothing was broken. But I would have put $10 that it was broken. So thankfully I didn't. But yeah, like we almost took out a potential future Tiger before it even happened. So I don't know what this does to his trade value. I don't know if they are asking for less. One of my biggest questions were going to be if he plays today, and now that I'm looking at the lineup, maybe he can be a reserve that comes in later, but as of right now, he did not start the game. So I don't know how banged up he is. Obviously, it doesn't feel good, but the trade deadline is Thursday, so if we're going to trade for the guy or not, it's going to happen soon. Either way, either yay or nay. So, yeah, I find that quite interesting. And if we do trade for him, I don't know if there'll be words or words or not there, but yeah, it's kind of and like I said, we just traded for a relief pitcher. It seems like one of the guys that we were potentially replacing, and I hate to say that because Vest earlier in the season was like our go-to guy. Like he might have been our best arm out of the bullpen. In the last 2 weeks, he's been one of our worst. So hopefully it's just a bad stretch. But I mean, he's already proven he's been in. I think he's been a Tiger 4 or 5 years now. Like he's been established. So it's hopefully it's just a bad 2 weeks. But hopefully he wakes up out of that funk and doesn't injure anyone we're trying to trade for before the trade deadline. But yeah, let's hope for health him because you never root for injuries anyway. And then the other rumor, because we made the trade, then there was the Suarez rumor. Like I said, I heard 6 teams linked to Suarez. To be fair, we're one of them, but we're not the only ones. The second rumor is the Tigers today. This is a new rumor that the Pittsburgh Pirates, which is funny because that's a team we've been linked to a ton, put a new target on the Pirates. This one's for David Bednar. He's their closer. So once again, another relief pitcher. He is 30. So as we learned earlier in the podcast, that is not old, especially for me. But not young for baseball terms. He's probably, got 5-6 years left in him. But he's 3 years younger than me, and I'm just like, yeah, he's not quite. But he's once again good, not great. He's good enough that he is being talked about, and other teams are trying to acquire him. But he's not so good that Pittsburgh's like, no, we're just hanging on to him. And they are asking a pretty hefty asking price. The rumors say they want a top 5 prospect from whichever team acquires him. Now, I will say I would take that comment with a grain of salt because pending on your development programs in your minor league systems, not every top five prospect is created equal. For example, the Tigers have two prospects that are listed in MLB Pipeline's top 10 overall. So we have two guys that are better than some teams, even best guy in terms of the minors. So if we can get away with getting him for maybe our like seventh or eighth guy instead of our top five, we can talk. But in fact, I just had it pulled up because if we even go to, bear with me for one moment.
So, real quick, while you're doing that, I just have some
Absolutely.
small news. Casey
Oh,
Mize has been taken off the uh, the pitching mound. He has been replaced already.
is he hurt?
Nope, he just sucked.
It's only 1-0.
I know. Well, this is what it says. AJ Hinch pulled the plug on Mize with 2 outs in the second inning.
Yeah,
50,
I have.
it was. Oh, actually, I lied. I don't think it necessarily was due to his play. It said he was just ahead of his pitch count or something like that, which is
Okay.
odd.
Like I said, without having the game on, I did plan to switch it over, but I missed out on my opportunity. But yeah, that is okay, suspicious. I won't really per se comment on that, but if it's an injury, because I don't know why they would have him on a pitch count, especially in the second. Um,
All I
but
saw was he was 56 pitches already, and they were looking at someone else warming up.
oh, okay, so is he out of the game or is just someone warming up?
No, he's out of the game. Like,
Oh, jeez. I was just saying,
yeah,
like that is a lot for 2 innings, but that's not a lot for a game. But
yeah.
I'm like, if he got hurt, I'm like, holy shit, with the other injuries I just got done talking about. Yeah, this is not loading, but I know we at least have five prospects in the Major League Baseball's pipeline of top 80 prospects in all of baseball. So like our top five prospect, I believe when I was looking at the Dodgers prospect list, their fifth prospect is ranked like 160. So I'm like, a top five guy for us is not the same as a top five guy from the Dodgers. So that's why I'm like, if it's us, maybe we can get him for like our seventh, eighth guy, because that would be equivalent to a top five guy in someone else's farm system. But I'm not touching like McGonigal. I'm trying to remember which, because there's two publications that rank prospects. And MLB Pipeline has McGonigal like number 3, and a different publication just moved McGonigal up to number 1 in all of baseball. So I'm like, him, F you, we're not, you're not getting him. So, like, once again, I know we've said it several times on here, and I feel like it's a cop out, but it's true. Pending price, let's talk. But I'm not going to go break the bank for this guy at all. But I will take him because, like I said, we do need the bullpen help. The guys that we used to rely on, at least for the last 2 weeks, haven't been getting it done. So either they need to correct themselves, like we know they can because they were pitching great earlier in the season, or we got to go get some more help because we already got some. But we got to go get more help and maybe go get, um, I just spaced Bednar. Like I just spaced on his name because he's not our guy yet. But
We shall see.
exactly. Oh, and I do have, if they are dead set on a prospect in our top five, our number 4 prospect, I will not say his name at this time because I've only seen it in text. He is another catcher, and as I mentioned before, unlike our catcher Dylan Dingler is not going anywhere for a while, um, as long as we resign him. Um, you normally, kind of like a goalie in hockey, you normally do have two that rotate. Right now it's Jake Rogers, but he is a vet. So going down, it could be, this guy in Dingler. But once again, I'm not going to worry about our secondary rotational catcher if it means we could potentially win the World Series today or this year.
True.
So I'm like, if push came to shove, maybe we can get Ke'Bryan Hayes, who is their third baseman that we've had talks to in the past. Maybe we can get Bednar and him for our guy since he's higher up on the list. But that's up to Scott Harris, not me. And thankfully, it's that way. I don't want that pressure on me and the entire city to hate me if I do something wrong. And then the only other thing I really wanted to mention with the Tigers, is I lost my spot here. Oh, the deadline. I know I touched on it earlier, but the deadline is Thursday, the 31st at 6 p.m. So they do have some time on Thursday to do it. So that's only 2 hours before kickoff for the Lions. Who, like I said, it's either the Tigers are listed. I'm sorry, Lions are listed at 8. Once again, I don't know if that's pregame at 8, kickoff at 8:30, but I'll say 2.5 hours before that is the Major League Baseball trade deadline, and we are talking about Suarez. We're talking about Bednar. So either way, whether we do something or don't, Thursday is going to be a busy, busy day between the trade deadline and the Lions preseason game. So get your popcorn ready for Thursday.
True that. And with that being said, that's going to do it for us on this one. We appreciate you guys for watching as always. Links in the description. Click them, buy them, enjoy it. But I at JSoSweet, James at Gullet_James, both of us at MI Sports Media and MISportsMedia.com. Once again, we appreciate you guys for watching. Click the subscribe button, hit the like, comment. You know what to do. We'll see you on the next one.